Good morning. We'd like to welcome you to the BlackUSA.News morning show. We're here with the one and only Kavette Minor Kane. Good morning, Kavette.
Good morning, Donnie. How are you, everyone? Good morning, Black USA.
Now, Kavette, you've met a lot of people during the show. Who have you met thus far, Kavette?
I have met a lot of people.
Put you on the spot.
I know, right? I've met a lot of people. I've met Mr. DeShiel. I've met Marsha Jews. I've met Tamara Brown. I've met
Who'd you meet yesterday?
Huh? Yesterday I met your mama. Denise is her first name. Diane. I'm so sorry. Diane is her first name.
Diane Bell?
Yes, from ABC.
I love all of the names that you said. I love.
Fabulous. Yeah. No, she's absolutely fabulous. And today I get to meet you. I've seen you before, though. Where did I see you?
Thank you. I don't know, somewhere grungy.
Somewhere online. I seen you in your office.
Yes. And it's great to be here and to see you again. Kavette, Donnie, always, a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So to kill the mystery, I saw you on the Downtown Download.
Oh, thank you. Okay, good.
Here a few times. It's been really nice, and you've done a great job of hosting that.
Thank you.
So let's get into that. I was thinking back, one of the first places I met you. Now I know Downtown Partnership is really smart.
Okay.
There's a lady in East Baltimore who said you and I a long time ago.
Okay.
Over a little library for kids. And they had a little kids newspaper, Kids Scoop newspaper.
My God, yes. Nia.
That was one of the first projects I worked on with you.
Yep, that's so true.
You remember those days?
I remember those days. I love Nia Redmond and, just everything that she was trying to do too, Donnie, and connecting the dots. You're talking about people who are the true champions, right, of the community. And
what I learned covering her kids' newspaper, Kids Scoop, is that we were in your part of town.
Yes. I grew up on Collington.
And so I don't know if I ever told you, but my first memories, my dad had a funeral home at Patterson Park in Landville.
Okay.
Just up the street from
you. You didn't share those details.
Well, that was even a longer time ago. But nonetheless, you've come through the ranks. And then next thing I look up and you're on the Morgan board. Well, Kavette, do you know that she's an engineer?
I know now.
Good answer. Good answer.
Awesome.
A poly engineer, though. So
okay, awesome.
So
and did you go to Morgan?
I did. I did.
Electrical
Morgan. Yes. Morgan graduated. So it was an honor, Donnie, to Governor Hogan appointed me to the Morgan State Board of Regents. And so, it's been an honor and pleasure to serve. You see it's so amazing what's happening with that university and just the growth, not only just from a campus perspective, but you see Northwood, what's happening there. You see we're getting a school of medicine. It's so many things happening there. I get elated every time I think about it.
I'm proud of Morgan, absolutely.
I know it's one of those things that make you proud when you come back and see. So it's a good thing.
Especially when you look at other cities.
Right.
Where our HBCUs are.
No, other cities and looking here, right? Just thinking about Morgan is, Maryland's preeminent urban research university. That's a big deal, right? And so you have Morgan competing with the likes of the other universities that are here graduating, the top ranked engineers, educators, and all of that. So that's a great thing. And then look at the resurgence or surge of Black people now who are going to HBCUs. Across the board, from a sports perspective too, people who at one point could only get those deals if they went to the majority institutions, who are like, no, I'm going home. I want to do that. I'm growing the base. And so, it's just an exciting time.
Deion Sanders comes to mind.
Exactly. Is he down? He's down at Jackson. Is it Jackson? Yep. No, and just imagine all of the children who want to play for him, right? And what he's able to get. And so that's attracting. And I don't know the student's name, but I know Howard got one of the top recruits that chose to go to Howard. And so, you know, we have a great AD over at Morgan who's just changed our programs, just, you know, dramatically. And so I anticipate, you know, just looking at not only the Morgan Coppin rival and the Morgan Howard, but just, you know, really us doing something.
And like you said, I mean, you go to Morgan today. If you were there 2 years ago, you would have missed what's there today.
You're right.
Like the business building, the Earl Grey's. That's
is it not the most beautiful? It is an amazing building. Right.
It is. I'm a graduate of the Earl Grey School of Business, and I was surprised. I was actually out of the country for 5 years, and when I came back, my first step on Morgan was I was there for one of the Goldman Sachs meetings, and I was just I first of all got lost trying to find my way around on the new campus,
right?
But I was so in awe of how beautiful. Even the student union was just like, wow, everything.
It's mind blowing. This really gentleman who I see joined us, the Honorable.
Good morning, Mr. DeShiel. How are you today?
Good morning to all.
I walk quietly along, but with a big stick. Man, I've never seen him pull that stick out, but he just looked like he got.
No, I saw it, Donnie. I saw it before. I have been a witness. Have you ever seen him at the Board of Estimates meeting?
No, but I have a friend like him, and every time something goes wrong, he runs to the trunk of his car, and everybody's scared.
Let me tell you why I love Shelonda. We had a meeting of some kind at some point at City Hall, and I had to leave after I made a presentation, and apparently after I left, someone, not thinking I had at least one friend in the world, attacked me.
Yeah.
Shelonda, being my dear friend at that time and close friend since then, but Shelonda not only did she take up for me, but I understand the boy had to leave City Hall with his head down. Right. So when I call you a friend, that's not for a day. That's for a lifetime.
No, I agree.
Rhonda's my friend. Okay. All right.
Thank you for that. And I got you. Literally, you have always had us. It's no better, bigger champion, I think, for Black people, Black business, causes, our city than you are. And so any day and always, I'm there. You call, I'm there.
I appreciate it. And vice versa. So now y'all got anything bad to say about Shelonda? I don't care what it is. It's a lie.
There's nothing.
I don't care. I just don't care. I'm not gonna believe it. I'm gonna be a Republican on that issue. Okay.
and part of it, I know I'm not. Just all I can say is my heart is in the right place. I'm not gonna do everything right. I know I have not. You know, it's with good intention to get there, and I know this is one of those things and one of those times where the collective work of all of us is moving things forward. And so, you know, I'm just happy to be on the train.
So we're here to talk about your work with Downtown Partnership. Yeah. But before I get there, Mr. Bob, do you ever see this lady being the mayor of Baltimore?
No.
Let me put it this way. I haven't seen a mayor yet who I think would be better than her.
Right. I appreciate that. I thank you. I can tell you it is not in the cards, in the desire or anything. I love supporting the growth of our city from where I am. I will give it everything, give her everything that I can always. But, you know, I will support any of you guys, but nah. I think, look, Donnie, you shaking. Nobody on here like, that's a job. I mean, when people step up to take, that is a job, you know, in it. And it means a lot to our city. We are a heavily, you know, mayoral-led city in the sense of its power and what it does. And it, you know, it takes everybody, though, to really surround and make sure that there's greatness.
But what I'm grateful for in this circle, now, you know, my book is Unapologetically Black.
I know.
We appreciate those who push Black business because common sense says, now I only did 2 years at Poly. I mean, you finished there, but I went to summer school and I learned A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Well, a strong Black business
absolutely
community equals a strong broader community. A strong Black America equals an even stronger America.
Absolutely.
Like with segregation, once they pulled down the Jim Crow laws, everybody made more money. It's like, duh.
Right. No, it's a no-brainer. And I think, you know, whether people wanted it or not, it's what's happening. Right. And what we know is Black businesses hire Black people. Part of what they say, oh, well, crime is happening. People are hurting. People are not working. We employ people who look like us. Right. And so if we can help build those businesses, they will employ more. It helps unemployment. It helps with all of those things. And then guess what? Crime starts to go down, too. So all of those things, it's an ecosystem. And Black business is, you know, very important to that ecosystem.
And to that end, Donnie, you may not know, but I think on Monday, this past Monday, the council president introduced a bill dealing with employment. It's not in the form that I think it eventually will be in, but the idea is that if you are a business and you want to do business, bid on contracts in Baltimore City, it doesn't matter whether you're minority, non-minority, red, white, green, or blue, you can apply for what's called an employment bid preference. What that means is if you come in and you demonstrate that at least 50% of your current workforce comes from the community in every classification, not just the lowest one, but in every classification, you can get a credit for up to 10% in a bid situation, which means that if you are not the lowest bidder on a particular bid, you can still be awarded the contract if your bid does not exceed the low bid by 10%. And you get that credit. You have to apply for credit annually. It's not a one and done situation, but you have to, because we don't want people coming in loading up with Black folk and then firing them the minute the contract's over. But you have to apply for that annually. And the beauty of it is it has nothing to do with the ownership of the company. It has nothing to do with whether because it finally recognizes that the value of business is in how many people it employs at compensation levels sufficient to support their families.
That's very true.
A business is the only thing that we can brag. A business is not something you brag about because you got a Center Club membership or you got a suite on the 25th floor of the building or you drive a Bentley or a Lamborghini or whatever the thing is. A business, the importance of a business to a city or any community is the extent to which it supports the people in the community.
That's very true.
Finally, I think that's a point. That's a point. People are beginning to understand that. And so I thank Council President Mosby, and I'm sure the mayor will, I'm hopeful that the mayor will certainly support that. I think I saw the idea at least touched upon in the transition report, Shelonda's committee in particular.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the things I had the honor to serve as the co-chair of Mayor Scott's, it was called Business Workforce and Neighborhood Development, and which was a new way, to kind of even bridge it. Normally you have like an economic development and you'll have a workforce, but part of the thought was, how do we bring these groups together that are central, right, to the growth of our city, so that when we come out with recommendations, we're thinking about them in a holistic solution. So if you think about BDC as an example that's awarding all of these, opportunities and all of that, a couple things. One, we need to make sure that BDC is allocating those resources to Black and brown businesses alike. But when we know things are coming, can BDC work with MOED, right, employment development, to make sure that our citizens are prepared for the jobs that are coming? And then can we tie in the school system to make sure that our students are prepared just the same, right? And so all of the stuff that we did, we touched on the neighborhood. How did it impact the workforce? And then how did it impact the business? And a lot of what came out of it was a commitment to Black and brown businesses. We have to be very committed to growing our businesses here. We still know we need to keep the staple organizations. We need, you know, of course, downtown to thrive. So we need all of those things, but not to the exclusion of. It's not or, it's and how do we get there?
You know, years ago, I was out in Indianapolis for a conference for Coppin, and I remember seeing the young people. It was summertime, and young men, young women were coming downtown for their summer jobs, and the young men had on shirt and ties.
Yeah.
The ladies had on dresses, and it was a summer internship program, but I'll never forget the impact. This was the mid-90s, that young people were going downtown ready for business. So one of the things that we have to discuss today is the downtown partnerships, and congratulations, Madam President.
Thank you.
On running downtown partnership. You're the first African-American.
First African-American. Yep. There have been 2 women previously. But I'm the first African-American.
Well, let's start with that. I mean, congratulations.
Thank you.
Somebody had something in mind.
Right. No, I'm telling you, Donnie, and I have never felt where all of the passions, the education, the efforts have culminated in something where the relationships, all of these pieces come in, Donnie. I believe that with this, I can truly make a difference, and the time is right. This was the perfect time for me to help lead this organization in our downtown into something that we need her to be. And
so that would be one, obviously, in a majority Black city where Blacks are on the city council, House of Delegates, Senate, Black businesses, because
Black businesses,
all of those Black faces in high places don't equal jobs unless we get us involved in this marketplace downtown.
We do, and what's interesting, and I know you all have heard it a ton of times before, where there's an opportunity and somebody says, well, I can't find a Black employee, or I can't find a Black business, or I can't, you know, in some cases, because of how the circles exist, they didn't have somebody in their circles. I think part of what we want to make sure is we're expanding the base and expanding the network. That shouldn't even be a question. We have people who do any and everything and need to figure out how we're making our downtown reflective of the demographics of our city.
You know, it's interesting. Yesterday we had Diane Bell McCoy on, and you know, her number one thing is fighting systemic institutional racism.
Donnie, she was talking about that before it became a buzzword, before we even knew what it was. She's been the champion.
Well, what I didn't know, Mr. Bob, is that I'm old and those terms are outdated. It's something about diversity and inclusion now. That's the new buzz term.
I don't acknowledge either of those words, and I'll tell you why. They both start with the premise that the world belongs to white folk, and that they're going to become diverse enough to include us, or they're going to extend us the opportunity to participate in their company, in their country, in their business. I reject those terms. Look, this country is as much mine as it is yours and yours and yours and yours. It's not your. You don't have the right to tolerate me. You didn't create me. Why did I come to you for tolerance? Why should I come? The decision, there's only one question, and it's the same question no matter what aspect of life, and that is who decides who decides. Downtown partnership is better because Shelonda is making the decision. You put somebody in there the same color as her who hasn't had her experience, and you're going to get what you had before she got there. Okay?
That's why
Shelonda has done something. Shelonda has done something. The reason, one of the many reasons why I like and respect her is because she actually is a business owner. Exactly. She knows what it means to have to make payroll. She knows what it means to get up on Wednesday, payrolls due Friday, and you ain't got a quarter in the bank.
Right.
And all you got is a hope and prayer that you're gonna be alive on Monday morning. She's been there.
Amen.
And
see, I want, when it's time to fight a war, and I'm gonna stop. When it's time to fight a war, I don't want no soldiers with brand new spanking uniforms and boot shots. I want somebody
the bruises, right? We got the dirt and the bruises, don't we,
because I know they've been in a war before and they survived.
Well, I am a witness that she has hired my company over the years many times. She's hired other people in the community, including our late friend Jewel. I've seen her practice what she preached. without anybody holding a gun on her, without having to fill out any MBE report. She did it because that's who she is. And she's straight out of East Baltimore.
East Side.
That's something people don't understand. Did you know, for instance, Black people started in East Baltimore? That's where we first lived.
I did not know that.
Thomas Myers was over there down at the shipyard, down there where Marsha used to work. He had a Hawkers Union. Since this is Black History Month, this was in the 1800s. And I tell you somebody else, there's a Black man. Everybody knows Willie Adams.
Of course.
Well, I'm dropping on this show. There was another man before him named Thomas Smith. He had the Smith Hotel, largest Black hotelier in the United States. Tom Smith, he's in the Maryland State Archives, but everything started in East Baltimore, including business. That's where we lived, and then we moved west. But with that in mind, tell me about Boost. What's the theme of Boost?
Yep. So thank you. So Boost stands for Black Owned and Operated Storefront Tenancy. So it's BOOST. And what Boost is, it's our way of doing a couple things. One, we know that our Black businesses are hurting. Everybody's hurting with COVID. So you have an increased amount of vacancy in downtown, but you also have a number of businesses who have suffered and have amazing ideas and things that can grow. And part of the thought was, how do we merge the two to get, where 1 + 1 is going to equal 5? And so we talked with the property owners that are in downtown about creating affordable opportunities to get Black-owned businesses in there. And affordable opportunities is going to mean different things for each business. It may be commensurate with, sales, rents commensurate with their sales. It may be, some set amount. All of these things we're helping them work out on an individual basis. But beyond them getting the space that makes it work for them, we're making sure that we can give them $50,000, and it can go towards operating expenses, facade improvement, build out, because we know that there's a base that they need. But Donnie, I'm gonna tell you, and Bob, what's I think more exciting than that, the stuff that I wished I had, although I did wish I had the 50,000 to start off with, but I also wished I had the technical assistance that's surrounding it. So it's marketing, it's legal, it's financial, banking, and it's the technical component of it. We're creating this cohort so that we help them thrive throughout the process. I'm first generation. Many of them are probably first generation. And what you don't get being first generation is the pass down of the things that work. How do we make it easier? How do you build this ecosystem and online presence? How do you merchandise in a way that you are really appealing to the audience? And so we want to make sure that they are successful in growing their businesses and the benefit to downtown, similar to where you were, Bob. This is our downtown, right? The benefit is that we start to populate it with us. And this is phase one. This is the first cohort. We're talking about at this point, tenancy. The next phase of it, they're not right. We want to get to ownership and all of these things. We need all of us to make our city thrive. And it's about really helping be intentional about making sure those businesses are present.
So I didn't know this until last night. A special thank you to Michael there at Downtown Partnership for being a good coach and exposing me to some information I didn't know. Now, the city's health commissioner, Dr. DeRosa.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I just figured I'll just keep it simple. I thought she was just another smart Black woman who came through Baltimore.
Okay.
I mean, because the last health commissioner, I saw her 1 minute and the next minute I saw her on CNN.
Right.
and I don't know about you, but I feel a certain way when you come in and do a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and then
no, totally.
And you're gone. And that's why we love Dr. Calvin Burnett up at Coppin, because he stayed Absolutely. There. But anyway, I learned about her husband. Who is this dude?
Oh my God, you didn't know Delali?
I had no idea.
Oh, powerhouse, super power. They are an amazing couple together. First, just to talk about Dr. Letitia DeRosa, our health commissioner. Donnie, she's totally opposite of what you're talking about in terms. She doesn't care about being in front of the camera. She cares about her people. And it's been, you know, we've gone back because, you know, I'm trying to get businesses open and different things like that. And she's, you know, her job is to keep us safe. She said, Baltimore City is safe. Our citizens are different, you know, and all of that. And so my job is to keep them safe, even when it's unpopular. Right. And so I applaud her willingness to stand for that. Right. And she is, when you talk about integrity, knowledge, you talk to her, you're just mind blown. So you complement that with Delali, her husband, who he came actually to the city on a Tech Connect grant. Downtown Partnership has Tech Connect grants where we try to lure tech companies and different things. So we were able to get him on a Tech Connect grant. Do you know he's grown his company to $40 million? Like this small Black-owned business tech company that he's grown to 40 million. And that wasn't enough. What he said was he also created this organization called Hutch. And the goal of Hutch is to grow, I think it's 25 other tech companies here. So he's not only doing it, but figuring out how to give back. And he doesn't take a project, if it doesn't move the needle around something that he believes in, that's going to be for the betterment of it, he's like, I'm good. And to be in a place like that, to see, you know, a couple that believes, that lives, that, you know, everything about our city, they honor. It is such a great thing. And so he came in to be the presenting sponsor of Boost. But what I can tell you is when we presented Boost, and this is where you can start to see the shift, because I presented Boost to my board, and, you know, and my board, I have 80 people on my board. Out of that 80 people, probably 5 Black. And when I tell you, when I presented Boost, they were like, tell me, how can I sign up? I want to help. Let me know. I've been trying to figure out. And so we got an amazing response. And some people even offered more money than what Fearless, but the mission of what they do and who they represent and stand for aligned solely with what we wanted to do. So it was like, that's who we need to present it. He's a living testimony of what happens when all of those things are built together. And Donnie, and I think he has over 100 or so employees or whatever. Donnie, how great is it going to be when we have all of these Black businesses employing thousands, right? Growing, doing, working, building, propping up, owning all of these other things. That's what we deserve. And that's what our city, you know, that's what our city will be.
Well, I got to tell you, Shelonda, when you have a man who built the company worth 40 million, it says a lot about his wife also.
Right.
Let me tell you why. Because she don't need no job.
Oh, she got a big job.
There's a difference between somebody who needs a job.
That's true.
And somebody who chooses it as their passion, their mission.
True.
This is what I want to do. That's a difference.
That's true.
Because what I see with the lady, the doctor, is a self-actualized person. She can, I'm presuming,
right? That's true.
My spouse got 40 million. I already think I can do anything.
Right, right. We got a couple dollars in the bank, right?
I see your brain turning, Mr. Dr. DeShields.
Yeah, I mean, Shelonda is a perfect example of why, when we're looking for talent, we always ought to stay home. You know, we got this. We got this.
Good, Shelonda. Let me.
The best things that have occurred in Baltimore City in the 40 years or so, 45 years, I don't know how many that I've been practicing law here, have always come when the people that are making the decisions came from the area that affect the people that the decisions are made for, right, or made in relation to.
It's true.
Somehow we've got this notion that we got to look countrywide or worldwide to find talent. In fact, the best outcomes have always come, and they necessarily and logically have to come from the people who have the foundation, have had the facts, who know the history, who know where the bodies are buried.
And Bob, to that point, who can empathize, right? Yes. Sometimes you have people making decisions that have no empathy, no understanding, no feeling or anything, and so you're making decisions for a group of people, and that's not what they want. You know what I mean? We managed a program one time and the company was like, okay, I know what we'll do. we'll give them all bank cards. And I'm like, well, you're talking about a community right now that's unbankable. So that prize isn't a prize. We need to do things that are going to be relevant to the community that we're talking about serving.
And so I'm gonna say this: we didn't need a city administrator from the District of Columbia, or to come by way of Texas or Alabama or any of those places. If we need one, we could have put Shelonda in that position.
Right, but no. Hold on. But to be fair about where it is, and I agree with you in terms of leadership, and that's why it's a good. I mean, we have the mayor, the president of city council, the comptroller, who are all Baltimore, sons of Baltimore, right? The good thing about some outside, and I'm with you that we don't need it in there. The good thing about some outside is bringing in other ideas and strategies that work. The other thing that's good in a position like that, sometimes, and you guys know it, relationships make it hard to make some hard decisions. When you have somebody who doesn't have all of that and they're making decisions solely on fiscal or administrative need, what's available, sometimes that's a little bit different. Because if you call me and you say something, I'm gonna say yes, right? And so you don't want somebody in the position. No, you're not gonna say yes. You're gonna say yes if it's right.
He's gonna say yes.
You're gonna say yes if it's the best thing to do. And you know as well as I do that ain't nothing new under the sun. Okay, it's just a new tag or new label, and you also know that if it ain't about relationships, it ain't about nothing. So I don't care where you come from, you need time to develop relationships that other people already have.
But you know she's not going to bring you any BS, and she knows not to bring you any BS. That's what you.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
You're right.
We lose that time. I don't care. We lose that time. We don't have time to keep going backwards so we can go move forward. We need people who have the relationships right now, who know where the bodies are buried, who know how things are getting done. I say this not just because I don't even know this guy in City.
I
got clients who know him, so believe me, I'm not talking about him or even the process with which it was done. But I've been part of an organization that sought talent the same way. When I was on the county school board, we hired a consultant to come up with a list of candidates, and it's the same damn list every time. Right. It's the same list of people. And here's a tool for you to make a decision. It's the same tool that they came up with that they use in every other jurisdiction.
But what's different about this piece, and this is where you have a mayor who said, this is what's important for me to be successful. Yeah. And he said, I want to be able to focus on this, and it's important for me to have somebody who can do, you know what I mean? And so let's figure out, my thing is similar to you. Let's figure out, let's listen, let's figure out how we can support. At the end of the day, we all want the same thing.
Yeah. So that we're clear, what did the mayor say? Because I didn't hear this. I didn't catch it.
Right. So we had the mayor on Downtown Download. 2 weeks. I know you could tell. No, right. We had him, I think it was like 2 weeks ago. I can't even remember. A few weeks ago, maybe. But one of the things that he wanted to clarify, because people are asking questions like, what is the role of the city administrator? If we have a city administrator, do I need a mayor? And one of the things that he's really clear about is he's the mayor. He ultimately makes the decisions. He's the one that's going to be in the room. But what he's tasked with doing right now also requires an amount of administrative, fiscal, just due diligence that he wants to make sure is done. And he can have somebody who's sort of his eyes and ears too, to help him do that, so that when he goes to make that decision, he's making it with the full complement of everything he needs. And you all know Baltimore right now, it's even in my job, I'm working 24/7 I'm sleeping literally 4 hours a night. I can't even imagine what the mayor is doing. So to have somebody to come and bring a lot of that information, you synthesize it and do it and be able to do it. If he feels that's what he needs to be successful, I say let's support him in that right and figure out, how we move forward.
I'm just trying to understand Mayor Scott's position on Black business.
Okay.
As we're talking about downtown. I just haven't heard it.
Oh my God. So I want to send you, he participated in our launch of the Boost program. And one of the challenges that he gave my committee, the Business Workforce and Neighborhood Development Committee, was come back with some bold things. Let's make sure that we're supporting our Black business. Like that was a charge from him. And so when he participated in the Boost launch, he talked about the statistics that are not there, that he doesn't want to remain under his leadership. So this part of it, Black business and what we're doing around not only downtown, but the businesses even in the neighborhoods is going to be a part of his legacy.
So tell me about the technical assistance, because anybody that studies business, we've talked about it many times on our shows, it's the back office support that troubles many of us, most of us, you know, the paperwork, the filing, the accounting,
right.
blah, blah, blah.
So all of that is a part of it. And so technical assistance absolutely starts with that. And so we have, from a financial perspective, we want to make sure their books are straight, that they're taking advantage of everything they can from a tax perspective or not, and positioning. Donnie, it was so funny. I had a conversation with somebody the other day. When I first started greiBO, we were trying to figure out how not to pay taxes, right? And so you had accountants early on who would say, oh, well, make sure you put all of your expenses, and at the end of the day, you're not showing a profit. But guess what? When you go to buy equipment and do other things, your company isn't profitable, right? And so to have somebody from the very beginning who helps make sure we're setting the framework for how their business should be structured right, how they should do some of those things, that's going to be important from a financial fiduciary kind of responsibility. Beyond that, though, it's the technology that should exist within their business. Do they have an online presence? How can we help create that if they don't? Are they maximizing what they're doing online? You know, point of sale and all of these things. Because some people just have a website. But, you know, now, especially when people have to stay home, we need to make sure people are doing e-commerce and different things like that. So to build that from a marketing perspective, are they in the right places and tapping and using and leveraging the right media outlets and different things like that, so to make sure they're there. And then one of the biggest components of this is the legal aspect. Most of, you know, the small businesses, I know you kind of do what's important, what you have to do. You don't think about the legal, you know, implications and all of those things that are happening. And so I know even having Bob here, to have somebody who can represent you, to have you in the right places, to make sure you're doing the right things for your business is going to be important. And so we want to surround them with a cohort of that. So it'll be some classes that they'll take together. It'll be some one-on-one development. We're actually having tonight, information session from 5 to 7, just so that people can learn about the program, get more. And what we know is we don't know everything. We're building this off of some of my experience, some of what our partners have. But, you know, this will continue to evolve. The goal is not a check in the box for us. It is to build and grow businesses. And so whatever it's going to take to do that, we want to make sure we're doing it.
What a lot of people don't recognize is that Baltimore, despite people like me who make noise, Baltimore is still a national leader when it comes to Black business.
It is, but
what does that mean?
The hard part, Donnie, and the thing
that we have more Black businesses here than anywhere in the country.
Well, how do you measure that? Most businesses are measured by revenues or number of employees.
That's what I was going to say. It's revenue and number of employees, but we need to figure out how we're scaling our businesses. Yes.
And Donnie, let me just say this. I hate to pour water on somebody else's fire, but look, we got kids coming out of school who can't read and write. Okay, I don't care what kind of technical assistance you have. If you can't read the paper, it's not going to help you.
Right.
There are everybody who wants to be something that's not for them. I'm not saying I don't try to discourage people, but I've been doing this for a long time. And unfortunately I've become less and less patient as the years go by. But people come to me and I have to say to them, I say, look, From what you have to convince me that you know your business before I will represent you. Right. Because it's too hard for me as a lawyer to try to teach you how to run your business and deal with the legal issues that you're likely to confront.
Right.
Too often you come to me too late anyway. You've already signed a concession agreement at the airport where you pledge everything, including your firstborn.
Right. And that's key. Like even as we go into these lease deals, they should not be going into a lease without having legal representation.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
But you have to have enough education to understand that. You have to know enough about your business to understand what's important to your business. Unfortunately, we're not. Go ahead, Don. I'm sorry.
Well, for the sake of educating our listeners, you do provide those services for businesses. You are an attorney, and you are affordable, right?
I do, and the biggest challenge, and I'll tell you, the biggest challenge that I've had over the 40-some years I've been doing this is providing the same level of effective service with only 50% of the income.
Right.
Because the businesses that come to me don't have the money to afford Venable or somebody else, but they get the same quality of service. But sometimes they don't appreciate it. They don't appreciate it because sometimes even they don't want to pay for it. But I've had, in order to be successful, to survive, I had to figure out a way to do more with less.
Right.
You have to. But you're in a profession that you're held to the same standards and accountability as the people who have the resources. So what I do, I try to teach clients not to need me. Now you say, well, why do you do that? Because they become smarter and they become better able to handle their own affairs. That means when they come to me, they got something that's really designed for me. Right. As a lawyer, I can just be a lawyer. I don't have to be a business counselor. I don't have to be an accountant. I don't have to be a preacher. I don't have to, I can just be a lawyer. But unfortunately, it's not there yet. And I don't mind doing it. I'm just getting old and I'm getting tired. That's all.
$50,000 to move my business to downtown Baltimore.
Yeah.
$50,000, the support, an affordable lease, the partnership support. This is we're in it for the long haul. This is just the start. We don't know what phase 2 is going to be like. We don't know if we're going to have to come back. Some of it, we are designing this as we're implementing it, but with the goal of really growth.
So Delali Deraza put up he put up the money for this, the black man?
He put up some money. He didn't put up all of the money for it. He put up some money to support it. But we also have M&T Bank who put up money. We also have BGE who put up money. So other people came to the table with money. T. Rowe Price. We have organizations that are around the table. That's why I said I want to support. And then we're like, okay, let's make sure we could make it happen.
So I wanted to pose this to you, Shelonda. Right now in the city of Baltimore, if you're very, very successful in business from a black perspective, you can afford to be a member of the President's Roundtable. And I'll be applying shortly, but not just yet.
Go ahead.
But you also have the Greater Baltimore Black Chamber and you have the Baltimore City Chamber.
Yep.
But I've noticed a lot of us are not in either chamber.
True.
Do we need a Baltimore Business Association? And I'll present that to you for free. A business association where a business person who may not be in the contracts or this or that might be in the traditional realm, but they might own a liquor store. They may own a cleaners. Is there something for the everyday business that keeps Baltimore going?
Right. And it's interesting, Donnie. We've actually toyed with trying to figure out which organization you go to for what, right? And this is from a downtown partnership perspective and from a greiBO perspective. We were like, it's so many organizations right now that you could engage with. It's like, who do you engage with for what, when at the end of the day, as a small, especially minority-owned business, I needed to be somewhere that I was going to get the relationships or whatever I could do to get to money, contracts. And so, sometimes sitting in those meetings and doing all it's like, okay, who's here? Who's going to help me get to that next thing? So it's hard to say what's needed because I know there are a number of resources that are out there. People are trying. It's just, how do you, galvanize them all in one place? And, or to your point, even with them, is there a gap? I'm not an expert on that. I know that, there is a need.
The only mechanism that I'm aware of that, first of all, you got to have, whether you're selling goods or services, if you're going to be successful, at the end of the day, you got to have somebody who's got the money and willingness to buy your goods and services.
Right.
The only mechanism that I'm aware of that has proven success in growing business ultimately, from a government point of view, are those programs that have actually set aside opportunities for the people that they want to grow. The SBA, starting with the SBA 8A program and the so-called minority business programs that are not really set aside. There's a difference between a preference program and a set aside program. But the thing that what I'm trying to get at, Donnie, is what ultimately your success in business depends upon whether or not you can sell enough of whatever it is you're selling to pay the bills, right? I mean, that's a success. It's not how long you've endured. It's what you've been able to is what you've been able to do. So all of it, whether you've got the back office technical assistance or not, I think we need to focus on who's going to buy the goods or services that we're trying to train the people or give the people the resources so that they can better deliver. The notion that if you build a better mousetrap, the mice will come is not true.
Right.
So because
somebody else controls the cage that keeps the mice. You understand what I'm saying? Right.
What do you think? Can you take $50,000 and turn it into something profitable?
Absolutely.
Downtown Baltimore?
Absolutely. And my wheels are turning, as she's speaking. I'm taking notes. And I will be in touch. But one of the points that you made, it is very challenging for a new business to know where to go in order to get the kind of guidance that you need. It is similar to, a child being born. When a child is born, they need you for every single thing. They need you to feed them. They need you to change them. They need you to wash them. They need you to care for them and coddle them and hold their hand. And, and even more than that, they need you to watch them sleep. Right. And that's what parents do, because you love that child and you want to see that child grow and make sure that it's protected and that it's safe. And so when you're starting a new business, it is the same way. But the challenge is being able to find someone in the consulting world who is willing to give that time and energy to a business that is not able yet to give back that much. Are you willing to work with the business so that you can help them to build to the point where they can give back? And that is where the difference is going to be made.
How would you do it, Kevin? If you had
with my clients and see, because I don't
know if you heard my question. Hear my question.
Yeah.
If you had $100 million, would you put it all on new businesses, existing businesses, or very, very old generational business? Where would you put the bulk of your investment? On a risky new business or someone established? Where would you put 50%, 75%? Huh?
I mean, the smartest thing to do in any investment is to diversify.
Diversification.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm a financial advisor. So, understanding.
Who would get the bulk of the money?
Who would get the bulk? The new businesses need the bulk of the money because they're the ones who are going to need the coddling. But you work with those middle-aged businesses and then those older businesses to provide the support that they need and the guidance, the roadmap for them to be able to understand, like Shelonda saying, when you're first generation in entrepreneurship, you don't have the benefit of what's tried and true. You are doing trial and error on your own every day. And so you're figuring it out along the way. And that's the place where I come from, because I have been figuring it out along the way. And as I continue to do that, I learn more. And you know what I do? I share it. I share that because I know that as I share it, I get to keep it.
Right. That's true.
For
That's
me,
very true.
In helping others to grow based on the stuff that I've already learned, then I allow myself to elevate to the next level.
Good.
What I've been through, and I understand where I'm going.
Okay. Can you tell me about Baltimore Together? I got to get this.
Johnny, wait a minute. Let me tell you.
This is not the courtroom.
I get a chance to answer a question. I'm gonna tell you who I would give the money to. I'm gonna tell you how I'm gonna give the money to. Put your arm down, because that's not a rope-a-dope, okay? I would give the money to the people who believe what I believe with respect to the importance of the business, because everything else can be learned. But what I'm talking about comes from the heart, comes from understanding where you fit. I would give the money to somebody who believes that the importance of business is being able to provide sufficient and adequate and real sustained employment for people from their own community. That's what I give it to first. Because everything else, you can learn accounting, you can learn business principles, you can learn all those other things. That's who I give the money to. And I not just give the money, but I ensure that they have a market sell the goods and services. Because what happened is after you graduate from there, you have to keep going back to 8A. 50% of the firms who come out of the 8A program after the 9-year graduate, after the 9-year period, are out of business within 3 years after they graduate.
They are, because they haven't built that market. I can tell you, just to build on, and Donnie, I know you want to shift it, but to build on, the Boost program is sort of bridging the line of what you are saying. It's not for somebody who has an idea. That if you have an idea and you want to start a business, you can work with the Small Business Resource Center or any of those organizations to get it up and running. Ours is you've at least been in business a year. But the things that Bob's talking about is exactly what we're looking for. This isn't a first come, first serve trying to figure it out. Is let's get the applications in. Let's meet with the businesses. Let's figure out, do they have a potential market? Or, do they have a business plan? Like, look at this stuff. Let's figure out how we can enhance, because this is really about scaling. This isn't helping, another one person stay one person. We want to scale these businesses and really help them grow so that they can make a broad impact on the community.
So tell me about Baltimore Together.
So Baltimore Together is a framework that the Baltimore Development Corporation, I'm pointing because their office is in the building next to mine, but that's coming out of BDC, where I know they worked with a number of stakeholders, business, residents, neighborhoods, Black, white, green, part of it to create what is supposed to be part of the city's framework. So every 5 years, the city does this comprehensive economic development strategy. And that's, a mandate. What they did that was a little bit different. They said, let's throw sort of those processes out and start from the bottom with engagement. Let's figure out who's at the table, who do we need to talk to? And one of our recommendations from the transition committee actually flows deeply with what's coming out of the Baltimore Together report, which talks about 50% of BDC's, money and going towards the development of minority business and doing some things that way. So it's really sort of a step back. I think Diane Bell, all of them were a part of the Baltimore Together framework to figure out how do we build equity into the processes that are happening in our city.
I'm slow. What does that mean? Build equity in the processes?
No, what it means is, how do we get Black people and Black businesses at the table where we have a voice and we're benefiting from the revenue, the opportunity, all of the things that are happening, and not just watching it happen. So from an equitable position, meaning I have just as much of a voice and presence to be there as does my, white male counterparts in there, to make sure all of that's coming into play.
I gotta tell you, Shelonda, in a city like Baltimore, a lot of times I don't feel that way.
I know.
When I look at North and Patterson Park, when I look at North and Poplar Grove, these neighborhoods haven't seen much of any kind of development in my lifetime. But then I look at North and Charles, and it's literally transformed overnight. And it's like, my God, we have Blacks in all of these positions. And so I can honestly say, since the Empowerment Zone, this Boost program and them having you there is really the first sign of optimism I've had in at least 20 years. My dad had a business right there at 802 Madison Avenue. When they built State Center Subway, they shut down that whole neighborhood. So when they were talking about red lines, and I know those lines shut down businesses. They shut down the small businesses. And those are the businesses that are the backbone. How do we expand the footprint? Just a little beyond. I know we got to focus on downtown.
No, but you're right. This is beyond downtown. So some of the things that we're doing, and it's far beyond me. I think that's why I keep going back to the commission, because other things that happened in the neighborhood, conversation of what was happening, it was things like certain things that hurt us as a community. Thinking about how many of our family and friends lost their homes to tax sales, right? It goes, we could be on this call so long for so many things that have disadvantaged us in the past. And so what I'm talking about downtown, but I'm also working with Wanda Best so that we can create in the Upton, we can expand some things that are happening there and others, right? It's not just about
downtown. Don't forget Sandtown. Upton is right next door. I know we don't have an organization that's died around here for 20 years because I've been busy fighting for black business. But you do have Upton, you have Druid Heights, you got Sandtown.
Well,
and we've been forgotten for 20 years.
If you're gonna talk about Upton, I mean, when I started in this business 40 years ago, representing local or neighborhood development corporations, because I wasn't from Baltimore either. Okay, right. But you can't talk about Upton, and I just say that this is a shout out to somebody who's long gone, Lena Boone. Lena Boone for many years was led. But Upton wasn't always a food desert. Lena Boone built a supermarket right at the corner of Pennsylvania and down from Zion Church. It was called Our Supermarket. It was run by one of the two black supermarket chains in the country, Charlie Burns from Superpride.
Wow.
Right? So people forget that Upton had a supermarket at one time.
Oh, okay, because that ain't the supermarket I'm going to today, partner. Matter of fact, between downtown and Mondawmin. Hello, Masha Juice. How are you, Queen? Between downtown and Mondawmin, Shelonda, that's 2 miles of a desert. So if anybody could take a 50,000 and open a damn supermarket where we get some peaches and some apples and some oranges.
Right. No, you're right. And part of it
between Lexington Market and Mondawmin.
Part of the thought, Donnie, and we know any program that we're doing is definitely not saying it's the end all be all. But copy it, model it. Let's figure out how we expand it. How great would it be to have not just $50,000, $100,000 for each one going into all of these neighborhoods? This is the seed. This is the floor. Let's figure out how it's replicated in all of those things. I'm with you 100%.
Well, I want to thank you publicly for supporting Black media. Be More News. We're going into, this is our 19th year, our 10th year doing the Black Wall Street Awards. We have now, thanks to Marsha, taken our platform nationally. So in addition to Be More News, we have BlackUSA.News. So we cover stories like Devon Walker's. He built the Black Wall Street game out in Los Angeles. We have a young lady here in Baltimore, Quay's daughter, Kelsey Parker, 15-year-old, who created an app, Think Black app, Quay Parker's daughter. And so also a thank you to the many Black businesses like Bob the Shields, like Billy Murphy, that have kept Be More News going. But please let me allow the Queen, because like Bob, she's got a straight razor.
Oh no, I know she does. I know she does. Beautiful as always.
Did you say you know I do? What?
Oh, if I'm in the alley, you with me. That's the person I want with me.
Right. You funny. You funny though. You funny though. And so congratulations on your new role, number one. I need to just be straight up, as I only know how to be. I have never seen that much information coming out of Downtown Partnership, however long they've been around. Girl, every time I look around, I see Downtown Partnership. Y'all doing it.
We're doing it.
Y'all
We're not sleeping. The goal is, while COVID is happening and everybody is going in slow motion, we're running.
Yes, you are.
We're running so that when the lights come back on, we want everybody to be at the table. COVID, we're talking about vaccines. We're talking about how to get money. We had a Black business show on small Black businesses where we we're all in this.
And, I'm looking at downtown, and I know you have a plan. And one of the things that I can say about you is that you really understand business and that you're an engineer. And so you think and put pieces together like an engineer, right? Yeah. And what I am really wondering, from having lived here for so long and looking at the gut, and you may have talked about it, I'm so sorry, I'm doing Black Engineer of the Year awards this week.
But Tyrone, we said hello.
Yes, we will. And he's downtown, right? And one of the things that, or not one of the things, but one of many things that I'm just worried about is all of those boarded up buildings, all those empty buildings. And I know you have a plan for it. And I don't know if you had this discussion and I missed it, but how do we bring these businesses, with all of the problems that, quote unquote, the national news has distributed across the world, right? How do we overcome those issues and fill all of these buildings?
Right. So thank you. That question, we actually didn't get to anything like that part of it, but I hear echo. But part of what we know, Marsha, is we need to make our downtown in those buildings, the ownership of all of that reflective also of the demographics of our city. And so there are a couple initiatives that are great. We're in the process of doing a master plan for downtown. And one of the things that we know, this area of downtown where I'm in now, and they call it the Central Business District. Historically, it was where business was done. You can see businesses are also now moving out to Harbor East and Harbor Point and all of that. But in downtown, people don't really look at it like that. We have in the downtown area, nearly 43,000 residents, right? In my general area, we have about 8,000, right? And so all of that stuff now is with like, we need to reimagine what downtown is, this former business district, what it is, and how we become more responsive as a neighborhood, a community where everybody feels welcome. And so when you talk about the buildings that are there and some of the things that are happening, we're also trying to figure out how do we get people in the development space and game that maybe traditionally had not been there, but so that we can also start to build the ownership. And having those vacant buildings and spaces gives us an opportunity to do that, so that we're pairing, developers with that, but making sure that we're bringing along other minority components. And how great would it be to allow just every man, anybody, to build into those investments, right? So that we're not having to go get out of state dollars all the time to do that. So all of those are in the works for part of.
So that's where Mr. Bob and the advocates are really critical, because imagine if you have MBEs that can do more of the subcontracting work. I mean, when the city of Baltimore tells me it's got to go to Iowa or somewhere to get some ballots printed, right? I'm like, well, damn, who's making these decisions?
Right.
Joe Blow can do something.
Right. But Donnie, this is where, and I don't know if you can feel my excitement. I hate to keep going back to the transition report, but part of the things that we're talking about is really working with the mayor to ensure that, because, all of the businesses want to align with the mayor of Baltimore, right? How great would it be for him to also charge them, right? To look here to hire first. Look here when you're doing vending to do that first, and for the city to do the same thing. So all of that is a part of our conversations with him, and he's on board.
I have a question. In looking at all of the buildings, and I know you probably, I don't know if you have, I know you have it off the top of your head. Those huge corporate buildings that have only a couple of floors filled, a lot of the staff has moved. And we see some of people are converting some of those into condos and apartments that are happening. But how do we also look at those as also being these incubators where you can have large scale operations going on that people can't normally afford? Right? How does the city take back some of that property that's basically abandoned?
I got a great idea. The Ritz-Carlton owe us like $3 million. They owe
more than
like
that.
a year.
They owe more than that.
Those suites overlooking the harbor and start chiseling down their bill. Don't that sound good, Marsha?
Marsha's right. They owe a lot more than that.
They owe a lot more than that. And so you take that 10, 20 million by now, and you take back some of those properties. How do we take, there's an eminent domain kind of thing. Maybe that's not the terminology, but you take back some of those properties that have basically been abandoned and reconstitute what's happening with them. One of the other things is that if we're looking at downtown now with all of these buildings and people are actually moving, you already have one grocery store that's right there on Saratoga, which is very nice, by the way. And how do we then begin to look at, if we have a Paul Coates is way out in wherever in the county or in the outside of
printing, right?
Why don't we bring his printing capability into the town, where our people normally would have to move out to get cheaper cheaper rents or leases, where we can start moving small and mid-sized businesses to start taking care of that. And how do we now look at?
Marsha, I don't mean to be, but
how do we now look at education and putting some educational programming in there as well? I mean, I think that it's a hub.
No, but I think you're on to what the future of downtown is going to have to be.
Right.
I don't think you think about Amazon, I don't think we're going to get all of those, larger type organizations that are here. And maybe that's not even what we need. Part of what we're talking about is how, we have this innovative Black, all of these businesses build that ecosystem that you're talking about. And I can tell you, I've talked to organizations already who inquired even about Boost that said, you know what, instead of doing one business in this space, maybe what we do is a small sort of incubator even within that space. So I think people are thinking along those same lines. That's going to be.
We'll have a sidebar conversation about this after.
Okay, deal.
I actually had that conversation with Bill Cole years ago about trying to get BDC to invest in just that kind of incubator, multi-use facility. But there's a hidden procurement system that is rarely talked about. We talk about there's a collision between the purpose of government and so-called capitalism as we would have it, as it's been practiced in this country. That people think that all city procurement goes through a competitive bidding process. That's not true. That's not true.
Right.
The city charter only requires competitive bidding for public works. There's all professional services, although they may be competitively bid, it's not because the charter requires them to. What am I getting at? There's contracts awarded every day that never come before the Board of Estimates. And why make those decisions?
But why, Shield? What do you mean they don't come in front of?
Because the law doesn't require them to. The charter only requires competitive bidding for public works. Now, they often, let me be fair, there have been many expansions of competitive bidding to other areas that are not required in the charter. That's because competitive bidding is largely seen as a way to open up the marketplace to create more opportunities for more business. But it can also that opportunity can also be targeted to specific businesses doing specific things in specific communities. It takes more people like Shelonda to utilize that force. See, we haven't used that. I'm talking about work contracts that you never see, that never come to the Board of Estimates because they don't have to. And there's a lot of millions and millions of dollars that go out of the city every year in those types that we don't really know anything about.
So how do you change it? What do you do? How do you change the law? Who needs to put the law in to make that change? And how would you go and get the votes to make it change because a big business wanted to stay?
I'm trying to tell you, it's not a legal issue, Marsha. It's a question of will.
So all you got to do is pick up the phone.
Yes.
And say, make this happen, like Marion Barry, like Maynard Jackson. Hey, give Donnie the contract. I don't want to hear it. Give him the contract.
When Donald Shaver decided to give the marina to Ken Wilson, it was not competitively bid. When Donald Shaver decided to hire Whiting and Turner to manage Pulaski Highway Incinerator after he sold it to Willard Hackerman under a put-or-pay arrangement, that was not competitively bid. Okay, those kind of things not
Halliburton under Brown
when the former mayor did the thing for the expansion of the convention center hotel, the Hilton, that was not competitively bid.
Okay, we're going into. Look, I only asked this lady for 1 hour, and
I'm trying to empower her beyond to do even more. I'm going to stretch her till she can't stretch no more.
Yeah, just watch yourself, though, Shelonda, because he be out there. He be way out there, girl. You just want to take only so much.
I did want to tell you that Tammy Palmer Thomas mentioned TEDCO's rural and underserved business recovery from impact. It's called Rubric. So Tammy put a huge shout out for you from TEDCO.
Wonderful. Love her. Excited about what they're doing. I think it's going to be some really great partnerships.
Yeah.
Okay. We have Baya coming up starting it's today. Today, tomorrow,
and 13th. That's right.
Baya, Dr. Tyrone Taborn, but your final thoughts. And thank you for joining us. Shelonda Stokes, thank you for believing in me once again. I don't know
always, Donnie.
Okay.
I know. What I know is you speak from your heart, and it's going to be authentic. And if it's anybody that can help move the needle and tell a story and elevate the businesses, it's you. And so, thanks for your continued leadership in that area.
And
thank you for having me. Please, for everybody, like I said, we're having an information session tonight, 5 to 7. Our website, godowntownbaltimore.com. Please join us. We're continuing to build. We're continuing to look for partners. And the great thing, I didn't even say this, but if people don't qualify for our the 50,000, 20,000, BGE has 15 million that they are awarding to small businesses as well in increments of $20,000 for operating expenses. And so we want to know what people need, because we're also willing to connect the dots, right? We know that this is going to be something that's going to take all of us together to get through. And so we like to
think that nobody covers our community like Be More News. And we thank you, Shelonda Stokes. We love you. And can't wait to see you
all. Bob,
thank you. Congratulations.
Thank
Congratulations.
You. See you, Shelonda. You still owe me, but I'll wait till I'm 75.
I got you. No,
I thought you were already 75.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All righty. So you guys got any other things you want to say before we get out of here?
No.
Kavette, Kavette, what'd you learn? What did you learn? Tell me.
I learned a lot about what's going on in Baltimore right now with the Boost program. That's something I'll do more research on myself. It's funny because when, coming back to the States, I thought about going back to Baltimore, and I said, well, after living in my dad's home in PG County, I said, let me set up home here. But what I found is that all of my business dealings have been in Baltimore. I'm a member of the Baltimore City Chamber of Commerce. I'm a member of Black Speakers Network that is over in Baltimore. So all of my connections have been at home, so I cannot get away from that connection. I don't want to get away from that connection. And I'm looking forward to doing more with downtown Baltimore.
Good deal. Marcia, tell me about Baya. Put the final plug in.
Oh, yeah. We've been interviewing every day, all day, and there are so many people. There's it's a digital twin. So you'll be able to come in, go in and out of different rooms. There are, I don't know, probably 100 speakers and conversations that are going on. We have the awards that's actually being created live right now. People are working on that. It's actually huge. And there are different levels of award, not levels, but different award segments that are going on. So we have the opening is tonight. If you go to beya.org, BEYA.org, you'll be able to learn more about what's going on. People are free for K through 12, as well as the interview space. So people are actually interviewing people for actual positions with the likes of General Motors, General Dynamics, Lockheed Martin, you name them, the top Fortune 10, the top Fortune 100, the top Fortune 500. They're there, and they're looking to hire people who look like us. Beya.org.
Well, I tell you, I have a little bit of optimism that there is a future here in Baltimore for Black people after that interview.
Yes. I think we have to work together to make that happen, to support as many of the efforts that she has. This is a conversation that's going to take a village. And I think she's positioned, she's poised, she's been in there, she's been working internally with them, with some of the contracts and things that she's done for years. And she's shown who she is. And she's a Morgan grad.
She is that. And
engineering.
As I am as well.
Okay.
We graduated at almost the same year. No, not even. I'm probably only your father. But anyway, but there was one thing that Shelonda said that don't miss it. She told you how many people are on her board, right? 80.
How many people? 80 people.
She said 5 of them are Black. That's a problem.
Did she say 8 or 80?
80 people on her board, and of that 80-person board, there are only 5 Blacks. That's a problem. I'll leave it at that.
Up to date, down tomorrow, do your day and everything will follow. Nothing to it but to do it. I got to do it regardless of how I feel. I am somebody. I am my brother's keeper. Good morning, BlackUSA.News.
Good morning.